attendance, James here?
Yeah.
James, Elias,
Here.
Jackson,
Yeah. Here.
Lucas, Brett,
Here.
Anash, he is absent, Quinn, absent. Next here?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Caitlin, Kendall,
Here.
Liam. No Liam?
He's writing his.
Paige, Atrick, and Carter. Okay. Lana, Luna, Bentley, Ben, you, Joshua, Jake, here, thanks, and Nolan.
Here.
Okay, guys, you got your notebooks?
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna get in there. Okay, up on the board, we're gonna do the next joinery, and that's the rabbit joint. We're gonna take a note here. Okay, first of all, guys, it's a bake sale today, so if you guys have money, it's right out in front of the cap. Go and support if you can. So your marks are going home soon. Blue sock day's coming up, and obviously today's dress down. And tomorrow you guys are off with your PD day. And then the midterm report cards are being emailed home on the 21st. Okay, so there you go, guys. It's on freeze, sorry. The rabbit joint. So you guys copy that note down, and then you guys are also gonna do, I'll draw the picture on the board for you guys. Okay guys, that's the rabbit joint. It's very similar, and you can do it almost the same way as the dado joint, except the rabbit joint is on the end instead of the middle. And most of the time, guys, you will use, you do it with the grain, and then the dado joint is against the grain. You guys getting all this note down? Guys, I've showed you once or twice too. This is also the rabbit right along here that you guys are going to be doing on your final, okay? And then I worked last night a little bit after school, and then this is going to be the lid. So once again, it's all just scrap that we found. We're going to cut it to size, and then this will fit right in here, and we'll have a handle as well. So. Remember with those pictures, guys, to make them 3D, you just throw them out on the 45 and then get them done. come back to that. I got a small video here. Do you want to use the volume there for me?
Continuing our joint series with the rabbet joint. Now the rabbet joint is really useful when you're trying to put together boxes, picture frames, and a variety of other things. And it's also pretty simple, and you don't even necessarily need to use it as a joint. You can use it as a recess for anything. That's actually what you generally use it for in a picture frame, where you kind of recess the glass or recess the photo into the frame itself. And that's a rabbet or a rebate joint, depending on where you are in the world as to how you call it. So I'm gonna give you a quick overview of the rabbet joint compared to other joints, and we're gonna go ahead and get started on how to make it work. All right, let's go. A rabbet joint is a really easy joint to make. It is primarily used on corners and on edges. In this particular case, I have a preview that shows using it on a corner like you would use in a box. Some of the advantages to a rabbet joint is that it is easy, it is fast, and it's quick to align and glue. Some of the disadvantages are though, is that it does require glue because there is no mechanical interfacing on this joint itself. It is just edges coming together. Another disadvantage is that this joint is much easier with specialized equipment, and though that doesn't sound like a downside because I'm saying it's much easier to do it with specialized equipment, it's because it somewhat requires specialized equipment. If you're only doing this by hand, it can be very difficult and time consuming to make. For the different categories that this fits in, you're not really going to be using this on a corner like you see here with a miter joint, but you will be using it on a box. You can't use it in structural elements without it being part of a box. I was trying to think through all the different ways that you might use this structurally, and it just really kind of turned into another box, so not really going to be used for structures. And then on the edge, you can kind of get away with it, although it's kind of a long half-lap joint that you're using, but I kind of gave it credit that you could use it on an edge if you're trying to join two pieces of wood like this. For complexity, I would give it a 2 out of 5 because it is a pretty simple joint overall. The reason why it's not just a 1 out of 5 on complexity is because it does require some specialized equipment to do it easily. For strength, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 because it doesn't have any mechanical interfacing. It does require glue, and it is not the strongest joint outside of just the glue, especially because there's usually a lot of end grain associated with the rabbet. Some other notes is that you're going to need to pay attention because while you're dimensioning it, the combination of depth and thickness is going to play together. It's not the exact length of your pieces that is going to give you the width of your box or the width of your joint. You're going to need to make sure that you know what depth you're going, what total thickness you have, and kind of take everything in a combination. Also, dado stacks make this very easy because you can use multiple thicknesses and get multiple depths very, very quickly and easily. So if you're going to be making one of these, I would highly recommend you get a dado stack. So looking at your two work pieces, you're going to kind of visualize them by kind of slotting them together at the end here. And then what's going to happen is the piece in my right hand is actually going to sit at a little depth on the inside of it. So we're going to want to carve out a groove that is the same thickness as our right hand work piece, but at a custom depth for whatever we choose. And then even though we're not going to cover it in this video, here's a quick visualization of what it would look like if you're doing a picture frame. Essentially, you're going to get your corners exactly how you want, whether you're using a miter, a half lap, or some other combination of joints. We've already done a couple of those, so check those out in the joint series. But basically, on the inside, you're going to cut a groove or a rabbet that's going to allow your glass in your picture to sit on the inside. So the first step is to load in the dado stack that is the exact thickness of your piece. Now, if you don't have a dado stack that's at the capacity, you can always go a little bit lower and take 2 passes like I'm going to do here. The next step is to go ahead and set your dado depth to the right depth, and this depth is custom depending on how far you want to go in. I would not recommend going more than halfway into the receiving work piece so that you get at least half the thickness remaining. Once you have everything set, if you have your dado stack at the thickness of your workpiece, you're going to line it up just with the end, and then you're going to just run it over the top. In this case, as I had said, I don't have the right dado thickness for the thickness of my workpiece, so I'm going to end up doing this in 2 passes. Slowly pass it over your dado stack. You want to make sure that you don't have too much chipping of your end grain coming off the other side. It's pretty easy for this to happen, and you can see it happening a little bit there. I've also heard that you can control this by putting some painter's tape across the edge as it wraps around the end of the end grain to help stabilize that as it's cutting through. Go ahead and give it a quick test fit to make sure that everything comes together properly. You want to check to see how much of a ledge you have from the male portion of this workpiece. Because if you have too much of a lip, then you can always just go through and take a very light pass on the dado to help it sit just a little bit deeper on the inside. Once everything fits to your liking, you're going to glue it together just per the normal process. Apply plenty of glue, spread it nice and thin, and then you want to make sure that when you clamp this together, you're getting glue coming out everywhere. Now in this case, because I'm only putting together 2 pieces, it's pretty difficult to get the clamp together at 90 degrees. I had to end up adjusting the clamps on either side of the workpiece to allow it to clamp together properly.
Okay guys, so we've done that a few times on the bookshelf, right? So clamp it and then make sure it's nice and square there.
However, I will be having a video coming out soon where we put together a rabbet joint box, and the box is a lot easier because you have 4 pieces all supporting each other, and so when you clamp everything down, it tries to go square anyways, and it only takes minor adjustments to keep it there. Well guys, that's how you make a rabbet joint. It really truly is that simple. If you've got a dado stack, it's super easy. You can also do the rabbet joint with a router. And I did do one a very long time ago on the channel where I did it by hand. They actually have a specific hand plane that you can do a rabbet joint with. It takes a little bit of work and a little bit of a process, and obviously with a dado joint or with a router, it's gonna be a little bit faster. But the rabbet joint is really useful, again, for picture frames, for a variety of other things, and I'm using it mostly for boxes. You can also use finger joints for boxes, but a rabbet joint is a very quick and dirty way of doing it. And wheat glue is really strong, and so you're gonna be able to hold it. So, I don't know. Rabbet joint's really useful. It's also pretty simple. So if you have any questions about how to do the rabbet joint or ways that you might be able to do it, go ahead and leave that down in the comment section down below. And if you like the kind of content we're producing here at Northwest Craftsman, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up and a subscription to the channel. Your subscription, your activity,
Okay. You guys get the gist of that, okay? Take that one off. Okay, if you need another minute there, you can finish off those notes. And then finish that picture off in your notebooks as well, okay?